Welcome back to the NBA Nightcap. I'm going to be your host here, Nick Reed. Thanks for stopping in. I'm joined by Dave and Lucas. It's a pleasure to have you guys. We're here to talk about some NBA basketball, starting off with the All Stars. Who's going to make it? Should we even have this game? We're going to talk about that in just a few moments. We're going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks and their what the heck is going on with them problem. And we'll circle back into Dave's team, the Knicks, and their Derrick Rose Super Team Redemption Tour, as we like to call it. But it is the NBA Nightcap. I got myself here a Shock Top. What you got going on? You guys drinking anything?
A very, very strong margarita.
So that's
Finally
probably,
redeeming myself from all the water.
yeah,
So we're good.
90% tequila right there.
Might be.
I have
Miss
some bird dog.
Bird
There you
Dog.
go.
Bird dog whiskey.
Inject that into your veins. That, was it blackberry?
Yeah.
Delicious. Delicious. But NBA Nightcap here. Go get yourself a drink. Come back, join us, because we're about to get into some NBA All Stars. All right. First, I guess week of voting is in,
Yep.
and we're having an All Star game, guys, in Atlanta, Georgia, where they take COVID very seriously. They have a strip clubs. Everything's open.
They're called Ladies of the Night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, James Harden's second homes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we just had courtside Karen the other day. Nice little feistiness. Why are we having an all-star game, guys? Let's just get into it. Let's get into the gritty part of it.
Money.
Money.
What?
And money. And money.
The NBA wants money? But
Money.
Yes, that's the only answer. Because other than that, it doesn't make any sense for an organization, a association that is like, you guys can't hug after the game, but we're gonna put all of our best players in one spot, and you guys go get to like be here for 5 days.
Yeah, no, I think what actually is the funniest part about it is players are so aware of the situation, but they're also aware of the people that will be there, and they don't even trust the people, the
No,
the other all stars that'll be there. And I think everybody is looking at obviously Kyrie, everyone's obviously looking at James Harden and thinking one of these dudes is gonna screw up and get everybody infected or everybody having to do protocol. And
yeah,
like when the day happens, I'm pretty sure they only have 5 days after that. So if
10-day
something
break, yeah,
happens at the All Star game, the bare minimum is they'll be out for a week. They'll miss 2 games after the All Star game, basically.
At
So it's
least two
like
games.
at least 2 games. Someone could actually contract COVID. It probably won't be much because NBA players are, prime athletes, but still, like think of a Tatum situation where he got COVID and then he was out for 2 weeks, and then Jalen
yeah.
Brown got COVID and he was out for 2 weeks. It's like
It's
that's the kind of thing that you
a
want to
spiraling
mitigate.
effect, yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It seems like a terrible idea, and I feel like this rabbit hole I could get down is way too dark, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the NBA being hypocritical about everything they do. But this seems like the most obvious, blatant one, and even the NBA players are calling it out.
Yep, we got LeBron, Giannis, all saying how dumb it is. I
De'Aaron
mean, it's just
Fox,
them.
Why?
who not even in here.
Oh yeah, De'Aaron Fox, who probably it won't even be at the game, but
Yeah,
he's
I'm not gonna make it.
voicing his opinion and everything. I mean, with LeBron saying it, it's pretty much like, all right, the floodgates are opened. It's pretty much like allowing every other NBA player to say something about it now.
Was he the first one to say it?
I think so.
He had to be one of the first few. I honestly think Fox did say something first, like, why are we doing this game? And then LeBron came out and said, like, I don't understand why we're doing this with everything going on. I'll be there physically, but mentally I won't be there. And I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
good, like, reporters and people, they've been excited for this break to go hang out with their family, just kind of relax. Like, LeBron's played every game that the Lakers have had, and they've played, I think, the most games in the league so far right now. And he just maybe wanted to hang out with his kids and hang out with his wife and just kind of Chilling is
Spoke that
huge.
Nuggets pack with his son.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I don't. It's exactly money. There's nothing
Yeah.
else that it could be, and they're not gonna come out and be like, hey, we're making X amount of dollars for this. That's why we're doing it. I just don't get Atlanta. Why
How
Atlanta?
much how much money do you think they make from the All-Star game?
I think that's a
In
really good question.
in like a normal year and stuff, I feel like it's a lot because there's like so many other events that happen. I feel like the All-Star game is just kind of like a like almost like the side piece of what All-Star weekend really is.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
I'm gonna
so much
get
stuff going on about
the
it with
TV
all the
money.
journalists and everything like that.
TV money. TV money trumps all that. That part of the deal, and like no one really watches the like most people they may tune into the All Star Weekend, but it's just it's been such a downplayed game. Like last year's game was really good, and it was like okay, this is a cool new concept. Like this is fun, but I mean, the dunk contest has gotten boring.
Well,
The
it's pretty much like everyone just follows along on Twitter, because I mean, like the highlights are posted about 30 seconds afterwards, so you'll know who wins the 3-point contest. You can watch
Yeah.
whoever won it in like a minute after it actually happens, and
it's
that's what people kind of do with the All Star Weekend. I feel like last year the dunk contest, the 3-point contest, all that stuff was kind of like whatever, but I feel like the game was really good though because of that new scoring.
I couldn't tell you who the dunk contest winner was last year.
The All Star
It
game
was
though was really sick.
it was
That
the
was pretty
Heat
cool.
player that no longer is on the Heat. I cannot remember his name.
It's Derrick Jones Jr.
Yes.
That's
He was
it.
on the Suns.
You know the last time the dunk contest was fun? Levine versus Aaron Gordon. That
Yeah.
was when the dunk contest was great. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, that was really even his redemption year after that. Where
yeah,
he lost again was
that's
really
when it's fun when there's kind of a rivalry. These new young guys, like maybe even like get Ja in there. It's just like they need big names. But Dave hit it perfectly. It's the Twitter sphere that is ruining All Star Weekend because it's not like, hey, we're gonna watch it on TV. But I think no matter what, there's gonna be advertisement revenue. Like people will watch it. You're still getting
Yeah.
millions of people who are gonna watch this weekend, and that is all. It's like a lot of money. And
yeah. Go on, sorry.
the NBA just needs money. I think it's at that point. They just need to get revenue because this revenue will
Mhm.
come back to the players because they need to get like it's steamrolling because right now they're so far in the hole, every dollar counts. I just don't understand Atlanta. I don't get why it's there.
I don't know if it was like a last minute decision that they couldn't have changed. It does feel though like
But
if the NBA got to choose and it wasn't a money scenario and it wasn't a contractual obligation to the TV networks, I don't think the All Star game would happen.
right.
But that's just what it feels like, right? Like it. But
Wasn't it
it's
supposed to
such
be
an
Indiana
awful
this year?
balancing. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Indiana, I don't think they let them. They weren't going to let them do it.
Mhm.
So
Well,
they just had to find.
the reason why it's Atlanta is I feel like the three states where it would be is either a Texas team, a Florida team, or like Georgia. I think that's why it's in Atlanta. And Atlanta is probably the biggest city out of, yeah, maybe Miami is bigger than Atlanta, but I mean like Miami and Atlanta I feel like are the two biggest ones.
How much pressure do you think? I guess we don't have any insight on this, but I feel like their deal and how much money the NBA makes from their TV like obligations. How much do you think they had to bend to make the bubble happen? And then like how much power do you think TV networks said like, "Hey, you guys, we get it was a pandemic. We still think you could have made something happen. We agreed to the bubble. We lost so much revenue just by like waiting off to the bubble happening. You need to make this season work. You need to make an all-star game happen. We're basically dying over here. TVs are dying. We're paying you an agreed upon amount for you to pump out content and you're hemorrhaging us. How much like leverage do you think TV has over the NBA and
I
how it works?
I think the contract had everything to do with our 72 game season. There's no doubt in my mind is that they had everything because they could go and I remember reading about it and like listening to podcasts about it. They could just end the contract if the NBA couldn't live up to it. they can just end the contract. And I think that is like we've been kind of getting to is the NBA owes them an All-Star game. They owe them an All-Star weekend, and I think a lot of NBA players like this season didn't think was going to happen, and they're like, COVID will be so bad, and the NBA is like, vaccines are rolling out, like all this stuff's happening, so it's starting to kind of be like, we got to get back to normal a little bit, and the TVs, there has to be a reason they're going to get their money. They have to put out some product.
You know what kind of feels weird? I want to say it real quick. It's a weird analogy that's just clicked in my head. When we were growing up, since we all went to the same high school, we had so many like emergency drills, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like the NBA season is its second period. We had an emergency drill that took about 40 minutes or whatever. We finally get back to school, and now the teachers are like, "All right, like time to do schoolwork again," and everyone's like, "What do you mean? Like we just had to do like a bomb threat drill and just had to go to wherever we had to go to. Like we're just supposed to do something normal now." And so that's how I feel like Luka came into the season real rough. A lot of NBA players didn't come in condition because they just assumed the rest of the season would be a wash,
Yeah.
or it could be canceled. And that's how I feel like they just didn't really want to do the rest of the season, and I kind of get that. It's just like a horrible give and take of NBA officials having to go along with the season when they don't really want to. Weird.
What I was gonna say though was I just find it funny that with like, oh, we need money, whatever. The TV deals are so important. Let's have the worst games on TV almost every night.
I think that's another part of like the TV deal, right? Like they do a horrible job. I think they do a horrible job picking games on when to be on TV. They can do a better job doing that. But like, doesn't every team have to be on once?
Yeah.
Isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
Everyone has to play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a great
You know
deal.
what I think it is I think at some point, well, we'll hit this and then let's go to the All-Stars. But at some point there is too many of one team. Like Zion's playing too much that it's like we are setting ourselves up for 2 weeks without Zion. We could have like 3 games on national television without Zion. Like it's not enough of like Pacers Heat on like a Thursday night because like, oh, the Pacers aren't a big market, but they put up good games. So if like I think they need more of this like well-roundedness. Like 32 Laker games in a season. Yes, a lot of people are going to watch the Lakers, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I pay for League Pass in New York and I'm trying to watch Lakers games, but then I have to get someone YouTube TV account so then I can watch the games. Like it's just they almost need a League Pass where it has every game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching NBA TV the other night, and they were flipping to like after the game, like, oh, this just in. We need like an NBA Red Zone almost for some of these nights where it's like,
yes,
hey, the game's crappy. We got a team there. Like we're just gonna pop this on our national television as well. Who's gonna say, you know what I mean? Who's gonna say anything in Indiana if they're already watching the game? How are they gonna know the difference if I'm watching the game now on TV?
That's actually a like brilliant idea. I never thought about that. An NBA red zone.
It has to be something like this because right now it's like I'm flipping, and then like some of my streams aren't working, the other games are working. It's just like it's such a cluster of just pure chaos for me to try to hop between. Oh, this is a 3-point game, or I just don't know why it's not there. Like they're trying to
like
dance around this because some nights there's 2 games, other nights there's 10 games. Like, okay, that night I'm not going to use red zone. I don't know.
so like how red zone is it's pretty much like if the team is under 20 yards or whatever. For the NBA, the perfect thing would be like this is a 10-point or less games because like as we know, a lot of games are having blowouts. So instead of being like, oh well, this game's a blowout, whatever, this is boring, be like, no, don't worry. The Pacers Grizzlies game is a 4-point game going into the third quarter.
Right.
Like we'll have that one flip on, and then like say like the Pacers pull away to like 13 points. Okay, switches to the Heat Knicks, which is a 4-point game, stuff like that.
I mean, it's we're gonna have a podcast coming up soon where we've all talked about different ideas, and I kind of want to get into one area where I think we will fix this blowout problem to a certain extent. It's very simple,
Oh no.
but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna fix it. But let's get back to these All Stars. We gotta talk about it. Right now, from the preliminary votes from the fans, which is what 50%. Dave said 25% media, 25% players.
Yep.
All right. So fan vote leading the NBA. Kevin Durant in the East. Second, LeBron James is in the West. Intriguing. I think it's pretty interesting that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uh,
So,
d-
I mean, it's like 14K, right? So is there like a little
j-
standard deviation you can go with? But
I mean, should we recount right now? Should we just stop the count? We need to get this.
I demand a recount.
I've got Giuliani on the phone or whatever his freaking name is. I mean, just looking at it right now, Bradley Beal being one in the for guards is interesting. I kind of thought like the Kyrie Harden media would churn him up a little higher, but Bradley Beal, I kind of like it. I mean, he's killing it.
People like him. I think it's like the underdog. He's leading. Well, he's leading the league in scoring too,
He's
right? So
he's
it's
he's
all
the
the attention.
Dame of the East. Like he's like, I want to stay in Washington. Like obviously his team's not as successful as Damian Lillard's has been, but he's like, this is my city. I like it. So they're like, all right, we're rooting behind you. I just love that Jokic got so many votes. Feels freaking good.
He deserves it. I mean,
He
he
does.
deserves a starting spot for sure.
It seems like fans are actually like these are fans that watch the NBA or kind of keep up with the NBA. You know what I mean? Like there's a few, the Klay Thompsons, you know, Derrick Rose, you know, some players in there that kind of a little higher than they should be in voting, but people get to vote as much as they want.
I have a short conspiracy about voting now that I've thought about.
Hold on.
On Twitter, you get double votes some days. Like voting
Yeah.
changes for
Per day.
fans.
Mm-hmm.
How many votes do you think are done by bots?
A lot.
A lot.
Because that's all I see here is like just looking at the board on who's been voted, these 40 guys so far that have these votes. I don't think a lot of them deserve to even remotely be there, and I think a lot of them are done by bots. Like I can't imagine Clay being in there right now,
Wait,
like in a
Twitter with
vacuum.
bots?
Oh,
Like
and
why is Clay top 10? I think at some point, like even though it says like these are the fan votes, I think like the NBA would be
Or
like, if they were actually thinking about it, they would just cut him out and be like, you don't qualify. You don't
I
qualify. You
I
don't get a spot there. It doesn't matter how
I
many votes.
I think that's the
Mhm.
big thing is the NBA doesn't cut it. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, whatever. Like it doesn't matter because we will cut it because the players in the media aren't going to vote Clay in. You know what I mean? So they're just like, you know, there's always like, what was it? Kuzma,
Caruso and Taco
Zaza one
last
year.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna get way too in this list angry about this bot conspiracy. But like I think while we go down this list, I think there are a few players that make absolutely no sense,
right.
and they should be discredited instantly.
Mhm.
Okay,
All right.
so
Do you want to start off the list? Do we want to go down?
yeah, do you guys want to go west or east?
Oh, it's the best conference, the West.
Okay, so Kevin Durant. All right. You know what? I was gonna start off front court. We'll go back, or we'll go with the guards. Steph Curry,
Ooh.
2.1 million votes. Yay or nay?
Oh yay,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
easily.
he's killing it. He had that rough start the first couple games, but now he's back to literally unanimous MVP Steph Curry stats right now. Just
The Draymond effect, I think, is real with Curry. Like, and I don't think so. I think I saw a KOC thing about it where he was saying, Curry's legacy needs to be defined by how much Draymond was involved, and I think that's probably too far. Like,
yeah.
but it does. But this season is like blatantly clear that Curry needs another adult in the room. to actually make the offense work. Like he can't just do everything by himself because that's never been his whole thing. Like he's not LeBron who can do every single stat. But
Yeah.
like Draymond is the other guy on the floor that like he can look at and be like, all right, it doesn't matter if you get 2 points, you'll get 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, and a block or whatever. But you'll be
Mhm.
like the guy I can trust.
Yeah.
I guess my only pushback on, like, I agree with that, but I think it's more of Draymond will call you out and yell at you and tell
Mhm.
you what you should be doing, and Curry's gonna be your friend. Curry's gonna be like, yeah, man, it's cool. Like, don't worry about it. Like, and
Curry will
then
be the disappointed parent
yeah,
in the relationship. He'll stare at you and be like, man, I'm a two-time
Draymond will be the
MVP.
one that screams and yells at you.
yeah,
Yeah.
Draymond's taking
He's
his,
the other adult.
he's taking his belt off, and he's like, you do that again, like,
You just imagine like Draymond just beating the crap out of Wiggins after games.
I mean,
Right?
he's got to compensate for other things in his life, and that's why he's such an angry man. But it's okay. It's
Good
okay,
shots fired.
Draymond. Don't learn how to use Snapchat. Number 2 in the guard position, though, Luka Doncic.
This is an interesting one. I want to say right off the bat.
Is it
It is
interesting because of guards or because Luka Doncic's team, which we were going to talk about shortly, is terrible?
We'll go into that because I'm ready to rip. I think it's interesting because of the position they're at. Like, and I want to like contextualize it. Like the West, we've talked about this for the past 2 days, is really freaking close.
Mhm.
But it's still hard to say like the fourth most voted person going into the Western All Star game is also the 13th seed. It almost feels like the argument when Boogie was insanely good on
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento, but they never won over 30 games. But it was like Boogie was putting up 25, 12,
Just
amazing statistics, whatever.
four assists, yeah.
Yeah, he was a force of nature, but his team was trash. And everyone was like, well, he's the 12th seed. He can't be an all star.
Which
It's like,
makes no sense.
well, what about Luka right now? He was the front runner for MVP, and his team is a top 5 worst team in the league. Like,
So I think that All Star shouldn't account for how good your team is. I think it's all NBA should count though for how good your team
But
is.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it.
Because I think All Star is just kind of like you're the best player. Like regardless how good your team is, maybe you suck on defense and that's why your team isn't that good, but you're an amazing offensive player. You deserve to be an All Star. But I feel like All NBA is like no, you need to go and make your team better. And if you don't make your team better, you don't deserve to be on All NBA.
Is there any consideration to team performance though?
For All Star,
Yeah,
I don't think so because I think it's mostly just I
none
think
of it.
All Star is all viewership. I think they're like, no,
Okay.
we want to get the best players on the All Star. We don't care that like trying to think of a good example.
Deal.
Um like a
Big
Ben
deal.
Simmons who is last in votes for the guards in the East, but his team's second best in the East or first in the East. Like stuff like that. I think they just want whoever's the best player. They don't care if you go and you do all the little things and stuff like that to make your team good. That's more all NBA.
I mean, this is the all stat line voting presented by AT&T. This is for the people who go, "Oh wow, Bradley Beal's dropping 32 a game." And then you're just like, "Cool. Bradley Beal's good. I'm going to vote for Bradley Beal." And then you're just like, "You don't look that they're 5 and 13. Who cares?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't care. Yeah, I mean, Doncic's stat line, we've talked about it. It's kind of like Doncic and Giannis this year. I look at them and I've watched a couple games. I'm like, all right, like they're definitely playing below what I expected. But then you look at their like season totals and you're like Doncic's like 27, 8 and 8, and Giannis is like 28, 10 and 6. I'm like, how? Like the 5, 6 games of each of them I'm watching, I'm just like, I've watched too many Mavs games where I'm just like, what the is going on?
It's a new era of basketball. And
It-
I'm gonna hold off on all that
Yeah,
till we
yeah.
get to the
All
Mavs.
right, all
I'm
right.
ready to just tear him apart.
Damian Lillard, third.
Deserves it.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. He's best player on that team. Him and CJ got hurt, so now he's kind of carrying the torch right now. They're just cruising through. I know number 4 is Ja, which is like, do you guys like the discrepancy of Dame with almost 1 million and then Ja goes to 250,000?
It is insane.
I think it's actually it's broken because of the way, if you go to NBA.com that I found out tonight, you can't vote for anyone past the starting 5 on NBA.com. So it's different than on Twitter votes. When you go to NBA.com,
Oh,
you can only vote for your starting 5. So I think that's where you get the heavy top people,
because
which doesn't make any sense because on Twitter they promote being like, retweet your favorite player that you should think should be an
well,
all-star.
I
And you
think
get like double votes.
I think they do want you to vote the start, like the 5, like the
The
starting
5.
fives is
I
like
don't
the
think they
big
have. You can't vote like the
bench.
reserves though
No, yeah,
on their website. I think that's like a little bit of a flaw.
Oh
But
yeah,
I feel
I'm on
like
it
the
right now. It's
yeah,
like
right. You
10
just pick
players.
the 5. You pick on 5
that's
on each
weird.
side.
Yep.
And I think this right here though, after Damian, I see Ja, who is the last guard to be in the All Star game, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, because it's back.
Um,
Well, I think they can add like one more if they want for a reserve. Um, it's up
oh,
to,
like an emergency reserve or whatever.
yeah, they can have like a third, like a fifth guard if they want.
But I think like Mitchell, so Ja will be the last player. He'd be the
Yeah,
12th guy.
Hmm.
Ja, and the discrepancy with Lillard is like this is the reason something's wrong, right? Ja right now is the like 11th seed, and his stats aren't incredible. And I'm actually going to argue for Donovan Mitchell. He
Wait,
yeah,
what?
Utah's the number
yeah.
1 seed in the West.
No, I
Mitchell
agree.
is
I agree with
performing
that.
better than Ja,
Hmm.
and yet Mitchell's not going to make the All Star game. I will argue against Donovan Mitchell
We can argue
for the
for
rest
him.
of my life, but there's no reason he shouldn't be an All Star.
I 100%
You
agree
know?
with that.
It is so crazy on NBA's website. Like,
You know,
so when you click the guards, you don't see where's Ja. Ja is the what is this 4, 8, 12, 14th person. Like Malik Beasley's in front of him, D'Angelo Russell's in front of him, and you know, like the whole thing is pretty much whoever you see first is who you're gonna vote for, kind of thing.
I mean,
Like it's
I've never gone on the website to vote. I've been an avid fan for a decade, and
yeah,
I'm not
neither have
like,
Never
I.
voted actually.
I'm not going. I'm like, I'll tweet. I've tweeted before, and I'm like, yo, I really like
Mhm.
this guy. You know, let's get Alex Caruso in the All Star game. Like, hell yeah.
No,
I mean, it's yeah. I 100% agree. It's almost like the how can the number 1 seed in the West, because you ain't putting freaking Rudy Gobert in there because they got
He's
rid of the
not even
center
in the
position,
top 10 for the front court. What is he? He's a 2-time defensive player of the year.
and he's not
He's
at top 10
not like
votes.
lost a step, and he's
Well,
not in the top 10 in the front court.
also everyone hates him, so he's probably never going to be an all-star again because we
yeah,
don't like him.
Probably.
I
Yeah.
mean, I agree. I think this comes back to the
Yeah.
argument. Should there be some sort of winning involved in what's going on?
I think you need it. I don't know how they would do it because I would love to be on like some sort of committee that makes this decision. I think it has to be some sort of requirement levels of play.
You
I
would
don't think you can necessarily do like points per game or some
it would have
individual statistic,
it
but
would have to
player
be,
performance has to like
if you wanted to do win percentage, it'd have to be based off that player's games. Like it couldn't be the team. Like it would
hmm
get weird
that
because
player's games like
played. Like
it
played
would
he
be
so
played.
like plus
say like
minus with him on the court, stuff like
Donovan
that.
Donovan or like Donovan Mitchell missed 3 games and the Jazz lost all 3. You know what I mean? It was like the opposite, or he missed like 5 games, but every game he played, they won a bunch.
I feel like it's hard too because
Yeah,
like I'm arguing this, I'm on your side, and then I look at the thing and I'm like, well, I guess a one-off scenario, like I'm not gonna not vote Bradley Beal in because the
yeah, he
women's are
deserves it.
trash.
He's alone.
I think you need to actually remove the entirety of fan voting, or not even. But if I was, like the puppet master of the NBA, I would have the NBA voting like for fans, but I wouldn't count it at all. Like I wouldn't tell the fans
Or
this is how it's happening.
don't tell them
Like
how much they have a vote of. Don't tell them 50%.
don't give them any
Yeah.
sort of information because it shouldn't happen. Like, all right, so like let's go down the rest of the list because I'm going on tangents and I'm just gonna hit every single
Okay.
tangent.
Well, so I say that. So what do you guys say for Ja?
No,
No, I don't think
no.
Josh should be there. I don't think Josh
I-
should be the 4th.
That list of
I-
guards,
yeah.
they've been too successful for Ja to be
I
in.
think that Ja should be either a reserve if somebody gets hurt,
Yeah.
or the last spot.
He's had some amazing like highlight reels. If he's gonna be an injury risk, I'm not gonna be upset. But
And I mean, especially right now, the way I know he just came back from injury, but he's not like they're not playing well now. Like he played, and then they got. We're not feeling it because the Grizzlies got a month off essentially, because they just didn't play any basketball games. But that team should be either the second worst team or the worst team in the West right now, because
yeah,
without him,
they
they're
missed
terrible.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, they got a bye for everyone being injured.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next two guys, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. We're going to talk about them together. Devin Booker, 173,000 votes. Chris Paul, 128. Chris Paul's, I think, playing better than him.
I don't think Chris Paul is playing better than Booker, but
No, I don't think so
Chris
either.
Paul's like everything, like every game that
Yes.
I've watched, I'm not like every time Chris Paul has the ball, I trust him. The
Yeah.
first like 10 games was rough of Chris Paul. He said it a million times, but he's redeemed himself so insanely. He just needs to mesh with the team.
I don't even.
Booker, this thing like Booker and Mitchell are having basically the same stat lines right now, and
Yeah.
it's eerie and crazy, and it's kind of weird because Booker's always put up better numbers than Mitchell. But Booker's playing more team basketball now. He's still more efficient, but
Yeah.
regardless,
Very close.
Booker's not putting up stats that I would inherently think would be an all-star. Although, if by all-star, by the when the game comes around, if the Suns are still the 4th seed, or like bump up to the 3rd seed, I don't know how you can not have an all-star and a top 3 seed in either conference. Like you need to have somebody represent your a top 3 seed. Like it just by default has to happen. I don't really care what happens with
Either of them.
like Luka. Like if Luka is the 13th seed and the Suns are the 3rd seed, but the Suns don't have somebody represent them in the All-Star game, but Luka's there. Like there's something wrong with that. I think there's inherently something wrong with that.
He's gonna torch this entire league to the ground.
Burn Dallas to the ground. But it wouldn't even just be like Luka. Like Luka's put up stats to deserve an all-star spot, but it's just inherently like, well, I don't care how many stats you put up at this point. Like you're really inefficient. You're an inefficient chucker at this point in your career. Like why do you deserve to be an all-star? Like Beal is shooting really efficiently. I don't know why. Like if Beal being the 5th, like the worst team in the league, basically Beal, but he's shooting incredibly. He's the top scorer in the league. He deserves a spot. Luka, who's being wildly inefficient, and turnover prone, I don't see how he deserves a spot. Anyway, I'm going off on too many tangents. One of the two deserves a spot only if the Suns are a top 3 seed at this point, because I don't think Booker's putting up anything incredible, and I'll be the first person to say he doesn't deserve an all-star spot based on his numbers right now.
I cannot believe I'm hearing this.
Right?
I know.
I'm literally shocked.
I 100% agree with you though.
Right here. Yeah.
100% agree.
So if you had to choose Booker or Chris Paul, which one?
I'm sticking with Booker until I die.
Yeah.
I watched that game against the Cavs, and that was amazing.
Did you watch that game Chris Paul played against the Nuggets?
That was amazing too.
or no, the one against the Mavericks. Was it the Mavericks when he played by himself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he's been. So
I think it's like when you're watching the games when Chris Paul has the ball, it's just ridiculous. Like
my stress level is so low when Chris Paul is holding the ball. It's amazing.
I think Booker got hurt in the Nuggets game.
Yep.
I think he's still kind of getting back to it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like you said, I feel so confident Chris Paul has the ball. It's like this, like 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? Like it's very close. I wouldn't be upset either if I saw either of them. I kind of want to see Booker more in the All-Star game just because younger guy.
Chris Paul would defer. Like he did last year. Chris Paul deferred to Booker to be an All-Star.
I think that would happen again.
If the league said, Chris Paul, you're an All-Star this year, he'd say no. like you're putting Booker in.
Yeah.
I think that's how it would happen.
I agree with that.
All right, we're gonna rip through these next three.
Yeah, 'cause-
CJ hurt.
Hurt.
Before, if he was still
was
healthy,
balling.
he would be higher. He's killing it. Great year. Shea on this really weird Thunder team. They're really not.
They're overperforming. They're overperforming
They're-
by so much.
They are. They're gonna only go so far before the scheduling gods come get them the second half of the season. They're gonna. I like him. I like him though. And then Clay hasn't played a single basketball game. 99,000 votes.
Flaw. It's the flaw. This should be Fox. Like, you know what? That's
Yep.
It's super insulting because like the NBA has their whole like hierarchy of like we try to treat our players really well.
Mhm.
You can't have somebody like Clay there. Like, as much as everyone loves Clay, he's not going to play for who knows. It could be a year and a half till we see Clay again. Like, De'Aaron Fox deserves that spot, or at least a mention, and it's silly.
All right.
I agree.
I just looked at the time. We got to rip through a couple of these if we want to get to a Mavericks talk today.
It's gonna be an all NBA.
LeBron James deserves it. Nikola Jokic deserves it.
He's a
Kawhi
man.
Leonard deserves it. Interesting.
Yep.
I will say interesting that Kawhi is not above Jokic, but I think the international factor for Jokic is like. I mean, Jokic is
I
playing
think actually not even internationally,
domestically. People
popularity.
freaking
I
love.
think Jokic probably would beat Kawhi domestic popularity contest right now.
I probably agree because Jokic is like all his interviews. He's hilarious.
So funny.
Like he's like so filthy playing, and like he's on the highlight reel all the time. I think the highlight reel is like the most important thing for All Star, and I think that's why Ja is so high as
Yeah.
well because Jokic has those filthy passes, and Kawhi is just a lean, mean fighting machine.
Yep. I
Who
agree.
I just love.
You guys,
But he's a robot.
you guys are gonna be. So Anthony Davis is 5 and Paul George is 6.
Flaw. I'm gonna say that this is crap right here.
Thank you. Are you saying because of Anthony Davis?
No.
Wait, what are you saying is crap?
I'm saying what's crap is how do you have Paul George and Kawhi in the front court? Neither of them play power forward. So how do you classify them both as front court
forward.
players? One of them has to be the shooting guard. They can't both be the small forward because neither of them
What is
play the
this?
power forward position. One of them has to be labeled a guard. Like Paul George needs to replace Ja or something like that in the guard slot. You can't have both of them being small forward. You can't go, we're starting Pat Beverly at point guard and then we're playing small forward Paul George and small forward Kawhi Leonard. One of them has to be the shooting guard.
Yo,
Like,
you
make a
just
decision.
broke my mind.
They can't
Right?
both be forwards because like neither of them start at the 4. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because Kawhi, I would say that Kawhi is a small forward. Like he guards
That's what I
most of
think.
the time
And
small
Kawhi
forwards.
played a shooting guard in both the Oklahoma City and especially Indiana. He was the 2 because Danny Granger was the 3. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's a 2 guard.
You're talking
He's
about
just
Paul
really
George.
freaking big.
Hmm. I agree with that because then if you have Paul George in the guard position,
Mhm.
he's above Ja. He's above. He's above everybody. Clay doesn't count. Shea's not going to make it. So he would be in it, but instead, what you're going to do? Have him and have a front court person who probably deserves it a lot more.
Yeah.
Not make it.
Like Paul George's votes for front court should be allocated towards the guard selection. And then I don't know. I mean, you go back, the next person will be Zion, and we'll have to argue about Zion. But I think this is broken. Like, this is the second thing we found broken about the fan voting thing. Like, it doesn't make sense. The first thing was Clay. Second thing is this thing. You have to define a position. And I don't know why they won't do it. It happens too. Like when they do the all NBA votes, like the writers have to decide whether somebody is a guard or a small, like the Chris
And
Middleton thing.
it's always LeBron and Ben Simmons are the two where people are like,
Where
it
is
doesn't make sense. He plays
Paul
as a
George
point
shooting
guard.
guard, boys. It kind of
Oh, is that
focused.
ESPN?
ESPN, Paul George shooting guard.
He has to
Yeah.
be the shooting guard. You have to define the position, right?
I didn't think of that.
I also didn't think of that.
Doesn't make any
Well,
sense to me.
I was just gonna say Anthony Davis hasn't been really playing that well this year. Been playing very like
He's playing like he's coasting, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like
it's just
Martin, I honestly thought like if the Lakers were the fourth seed right now, I wouldn't think anything less of them because they had like 60 days break and
yeah,
then had to play a whole season. So it's like, I mean,
71
they're going to
days.
be in the conference finals or they're going to be in the semifinals regardless. And they're
As
The
both
NBA finals. But thank you for
as
yeah.
the LeBron hater, I want to say that LeBron sucks this year and he's being carried by Anthony Davis, but I just can't do that because it's
he's
not true at
not.
all.
Well, yeah.
It's not even a
If
little
you said
true.
that, I would disconnect you from this call, and then the
Yeah.
podcast would just be Lucas and I.
I can put away my LeBron hate for actual like
Yeah,
realistic what's happening in the real world. Because it's hilarious though that like the old LeBron who's been to thousands of finals pretty much is after a shortened season, barely any rest, is like, all right, come on, AD, I'll carry you along through the regular season. It's like, wait, that shouldn't be how it is.
Yeah, it's weird. But all right, let's rip through this. Zion.
One comment I'll have about Zion. Is he, the way that voting is going, is he a top 7 player in
No.
the West right now?
No.
No. All right. So that's all I want to say. I don't like Zion there.
Andrew Wiggins. No.
Even
No.
worse. Even worse.
Christian Wood.
I love the Christian Wood just acknowledgement though.
I do like it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the Fox thing
Interesting.
to me. Like
Mhm.
he should be 9 or 10. And I wouldn't be mad about it because he's
Yeah.
super overperforming. He's going to win some award at the end of the year. It'll be
MIP.
Yes.
yeah, MIP.
I want to say comeback on the line, but
They should have come back. But they just give it to Durant. So
yeah,
Every
it's
year.
true.
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, Wood I don't think deserves a starting spot.
No,
Not a
he's
starting
a
spot.
reserve.
reserve spot. Yeah,
He just got hurt, so he's out of the picture now.
he
So
may be out. Yeah,
Brandon Ingram.
deserves it over Wood
Yeah, he deserves it
Yeah.
over Wood and Wiggins
and Wiggins
and Zion
And
maybe
probably Zion.
and
yeah.
Zion. I think he should be
Mhm.
higher. I love that my boy is getting respect. The next
He
guy.
should be.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. What do you
You're
want?
good, you're
Anything?
Oh,
anything?
I was just gonna say Ingram shouldn't be starting just because he has to try to jump over LeBron and Kawhi,
No, he wouldn't. Yeah.
but he should be like the like number 1 or number 2 off the bench.
Good. I like him. Or he's like in that reserve role, like backup.
Yeah.
The next guy, Carmelo Anthony.
That's it. See, that's another broken thing about
It's just
the whole front court. Actually, is a mess after Kawhi or AD
Mhm.
rather.
yeah.
Like it's just a complete mess. So, quick question before we go to the East: would you replace anybody from 6 to 10 with Gobert?
Carmelo.
Hey, come
Replace.
on,
Okay,
3.
so
Yeah.
replace. Okay, so X-nay on the dumb fan vote because apparently number 10 is
Wiggins.
always. I
And
would
Yes,
Wiggins and
definitely
Gobert.
Wiggins.
Yeah. There's two, if not. I mean, Gobert hasn't been playing. He's playing Gobert at levels. They're the best freaking team. The year that the Hawks were the best team in the East, they had 4 All-Stars.
Yeah.
Like, and now we're struggling to get 2 players in the Jazz. I mean, actually, I put Bogdanovich in there. Fuck it. I don't care.
I mean, he's definitely played better than Wiggins.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Gobert's just Gobert. He gets paid $40 million to put up a 10 and 10. Proud of him. His defense is sick.
I'm scrolling through because I'm like, who would replace
No, I'm actually doing
Melo?
that
Because
too.
like
I'm
even
trying
though
to
like
think
I love Melo, but he does not deserve to be there. It's not really like that deep.
the front court is really thin.
Like
Um,
Harrison Barnes is there.
Well, I mean,
do not
you
want.
don't have like Towns playing this year.
that was
Yeah.
He's been
that's something I was gonna
hurt.
say. You'd have to make an argument for Towns. You'd have to make an argument for Nurkic.
Nurkic was
He's also hurt
out.
though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
It's real thin. It really is
Yeah, it
thin.
is.
You still need Gobert though. Like, I
yeah,
think you
it's
need
a shame that
Gobert over
Gobert is
Melo.
not top 10. As much as we don't like him.
Yep.
Let's flip it over to the East.
Perfect.
East Coast is the best coast. ripping
East
through
Coast.
the guards. Bradley Beal, talked about him.
Yeah.
Yes, killing it. Kyrie Irving,
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
He
he's
deserves
killing
it.
it. James
He
Harden,
is.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
deserves
yeah,
it.
he deserves it. Jalen Brown,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, he deserves it.
It's funny because the East is like okay, Zach LaVine,
Yeah.
he's killing it.
Mm, Yeah, he is killing it. He's like the cutoff for me, where it's like where I have to think about it more, I guess.
Yeah,
Because
you're
like the
starting.
first four is definitely like yes, 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 and then you hit Zach Levine and you're just like, but
Well,
yeah,
I think it's because like the East teams kind of suck overall. Like there's at least that notion anyway that like East teams will inherently be worse, and like I think of the Bulls as trash. I've never
Mm.
really seen them good except for the D Rose,
This
you
is
the
know,
great
this is what I'll say about the
2011.
East is when you look at the 13th seed of the West, who are the 14th seed of the Mavericks right now, 14.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could see them being a 4 seed. When I look at the 14th seed of the East, I'm like, I couldn't see you really being up here, which I think it's the Magic right now who are all hurt. But like the Bulls, I've got that special spot where I think they could be a really good team. They're all right, but Levine is just he's fun. I want a fun player in the All Star game.
Yeah, no, I
he's
think he
definitely fun.
deserves
Yeah,
Now, Trae Young,
it. He's an all-star.
yeah,
No question.
the guards in the East, freaking fun.
They are
yeah.
fun.
They are. They're a lot more fun. Just quickly looking between like West and East, even though like the West is much better overall teams, the guards on the West or on the East are so much more fun.
You got like,
No, they're not. What are you talking
I mean
about?
that the 6 and
You got
7 in the
Curry,
West are just
Doncic,
trash.
Lillard,
Are
Booker,
just trash.
Mitchell, Chris
6 and
What do you?
Paul.
7,
Okay, so your Jaw, every single one in the
Yeah.
East, even though how much I love Jaw, every single one in the East, um, CJ, Shea, and Clay.
I would take the West guards over.
I mean to win games, yeah, but like
Okay,
Yeah, but
but
like
for
fun
fun
wise
fun
though,
scoring.
so no, but I
yeah.
was gonna say something similar too. Like I was gonna say, looking at the East pool of players to pick from, that's been already like voted upon, or like this first level.
Hmm.
I love them all
Yeah.
significantly more than who's been selected in the West. Like
Yeah.
just looking down the guard list, seeing like Zach LaVine, Jalen Brown, Trae Young, I'm like, okay, these guys kind of deserve this. Like they have an argument to be made. And then you look at the front court of the West again, and you're just like, no, like it's insulting to have Andrew Wiggins there and Melo there, and
Yeah.
not having Ingram. Like Ingram should have an argument for 6 or 5, even, right? Like
Well, Paul
he
George
should
is
be
a
being
shooting
like
guard, so
Hmm.
Paul George should be in the guards, first of all. But then like
Yeah,
so
and
that's the
Paul
thing, like
George should be number 4. Then he should bump Jaw, and then everybody else down one the spot.
that would make a lot more sense. The guards though, I do like how it's out, and the next guy, I watched the entire game last night of the Cavs game,
yeah.
and Sexton, he's an animal.
I
He's
want him
not
so bad in the
like
Knicks.
aesthetically pleasing
So
though.
bad.
He's
No.
not he's not good to watch. I don't like his jump shot, but he's just like he has the Westbrook thing. Like when you watch Westbrook and he takes jumpers, I almost think, oh no. I get the
Mm.
same thing out of Sexton. Like when he
Until it
takes a
goes, oh
jumper,
yes.
I think I don't like this. Like
Yeah.
I don't like everything I'm seeing, and then it just works. Like when Westbrook drives to the hoop and he's got a guy in front of him, I almost think like it's not going to go in at all. Like this was a really bad idea, but it
Normally
happened. It
is.
just kind of worked. I honestly think Colin Sexton has that Westbrook like basketball magic where things just kind of work for you for no goddamn reason, and I love it. He's so good to watch. He's so much fun to watch.
I
Mhm.
like it.
I love the nickname too, Young Bull.
Cool. Yeah.
Young
That
Bull.
college game where he went what? It was 3-on-5 and almost won
Mhm.
the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Stupid.
a sick game.
I mean, next guy, Derrick Rose.
No.
No.
D Rose doesn't deserve it.
Now, should 9 or 10 be above?
I
Should
think
Westbrook
9
or
should be
Simmons?
above. 9, Westbrook's putting up better numbers than Derrick Rose. The thing is, Westbrook isn't having a good season, but
No.
he's doing better than Derrick Rose.
Is he doing
Um,
better than Simmons?
I mean, honestly, looking at Simmons' stat line is probably the most depressing thing in the world because it looks like he's like statistically regressed,
But then you watch his games.
and I still hate it.
Well,
Like
you
I
it's
would rather watch any other basketball team play basketball than watch Ben Simmons try to run an offense. Like it's horrifying.
it's horrifying, but it's working right now.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like? This is gonna be weird. It looks like when Drummond was on the Pistons and it was just Drummond, and Stan Van Gundy made Drummond be like the point forward, and so Drummond would just stand at the
Still is.
free throw line and dribble and like back post up where everyone would spread out, and it was like Drummond just be like the facilitator.
Yeah.
But nobody's guarding Drummond at the 3-point line. People are treating Ben Simmons like Andre Drummond standing at the three, and it's not helping the team. Like, it sucks to watch the Sixers when Ben Simmons is out there. I
I
hate it.
I think we are now seeing a more fluid 3-point game. Like I just wish he had a mid-range jumper. I don't even care about the three. Make
doesn't
them
make
respect you a couple feet farther. And I agree, everything will fall back into place. I don't even need a three. I need a mid-range shot. I need at least an attempt. Just do something for me. I mean, he's really good overall. He's not a scorer first, but like, I mean, the 1 seed in the East.
It's also the East.
Yeah, like they're the
He
1
just
seed
has
in
a
the
lot of
East, and he's the
turnover.
second best player on the team.
The only team that hasn't had a ridiculous amount of turnover though is Philly. They had
Right.
that one like 4-day stretch where
And Celtics.
Well, that's when, well the Celtics lost Tatum for
Oh,
2
okay, I
weeks.
see
And
what
they
you're
lost
saying.
Brown for 2 weeks, and they didn't have Kemba, but like the Sixers only missed their like core for like 4 days when like Simmons
That weird.
tried to take a private car back to Philly from New York or whatever, and he wasn't allowed to play and whatever.
Yeah. Whatever the COVID protocols deem worthy of
It's
that
almost
player.
like the Lakers situation where neither of them have had crazy COVID cases.
Yeah.
That's really the best thing Philly has going for them, other than playing the second easiest schedule in the NBA.
Well, and the thing with Westbrook is Westbrook hasn't played basketball. Like the Wizards haven't played that many games.
They haven't played a lot of games, and they're kind of a G League team.
They're horrible.
But
they're horrible.
They're a G League team where they threw Beal and Westbrook there. Neither of them are good defenders.
No one's a good defender on that team.
No one's a good defender. They're like secret in the rough or whatever, the diamond in the rough, Bertans last year that everybody wanted, but no one had the capital to actually
Bam.
trade for him because they had such a high value for him. He's fallen off a freaking cliff. He's their bench, like he's not even their 6th man anymore. He's like their 7th man. Like they'd rather have Ish Smith out there than Bertans off the bench.
Pulled up the box score before we go to the front court. Pulled up the box score, and he was 0 for 8 the other night to start the game. And I was like, yep, this guy still gets paid millions of dollars. I'll go 0 for 8 for you, NBA team.
Like 16, 17 a year. And he skipped the bubble. He decided not to play. I mean, he made the right financial decision, but I don't know. That sucks.
Rip to the front court. Kevin Durant. Above Giannis.
It's insulting because they just lost to the Pistons. I just checked my phone.
No Durant, though.
No Durant, but they're supposed to be the God team.
No.
I said it.
No.
They told me, no, don't think of the Nets as the God team.
No.
Stop it. They have flaws.
No.
They just lost to the Pistons.
Good teams lose to the Pistons, Lucas. Only good teams lose to the Pistons. It is your rite of passage. The Lakers, the Suns, I'm pretty sure the Celtics lost them. I'm pretty sure everyone good. We are looking at the final 4 of the NBA. It's anyone who has to go through the Pistons. If you lose to the Pistons, you are set.
That would be such a sick conference finals. Lakers, Suns, Nets, Boston. Healthy squads across the board.
Fun. Right? Scoring galore.
Oh.
All right. So Durant, yes. Giannis, yes. I mean, Durant's more popular. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
either way.
Durant's coming back from like the injury, and he looks like Durant. So it's just like, this is awesome.
what is it? The one like the third largest city in the world voting for the best player there.
Yeah.
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 Joel Embiid, and top 5 MVP candidate.
I hate it,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean,
Top one
I hate
free
the
throw taker
MVP
in the league.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, best.
Yeah.
More than Harden. I just want you to know that more than James Harden. It was the free line. Jason
James
Tatum.
Harden flops and
This was Embiid.
yes.
Jason Tatum.
Tatum should be an all-star.
Yeah.
Yes, Tatum, yes.
Jimmy Butler.
I
Now
don't
this
like
is
it.
where
I
it
don't
gets
like
interesting.
it.
Nope.
I don't like it.
It's not interesting. It's a no for me.
On a pure NBA, like even you could go every single, I don't know, check mark down the list of what it takes to be an all-star. Successful team. Nope. Putting up the stats.
Yeah,
Nope.
but you have
Would you
like,
rather have Sabonis in the Is Sabonis playing better than
Yes.
Jimmy Butler?
Oh, 100,000,000,000% Sabonis is playing better than Jimmy Butler. Like, it's not even close what Sabonis is doing this year.
I
oh,
have
I
Jimmy.
100% agree with that, but like um like everyone's super cool with having Bradley Beal in, who is on a god awful team.
Yeah, but he's leading the league in scoring.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
Sabonis
no,
is
I agree
averaging.
and stuff. I definitely think Bradley Beal should be one and stuff, but I think I'm
18, 7,
super
and
on the
7.
fence with Jimmy. Like I don't I'd rather
Okay.
have Sabonis. I 100%
Yeah, no,
agree with
I would
that.
rather have Sabonis. Sabonis is averaging 21, 12, and 6 while shooting 54% from the field.
Jimmy's
He might
averaging it.
honestly be, he might deserve it over Tatum. He probably deserves it over Levine, over Brown, over
Yeah.
Trae Young. Like, he's actually contributing to ridiculous successful basketball. And with all the injuries that the Pacers have, Sabonis is the Eastern Jokic, except he doesn't, you know,
He probably deserves
he's
to.
in
He
Indiana.
deserves to be like a
He
reserve for
deserves to be
sure.
an all-star over Wiggins, over the whole system's flawed that
I take
Sabonis isn't an all-star.
I take
going into
Sabonis over
this draft.
Jimmy, Bam, Julius, Hayward,
I take him
or
over Bam
Grant.
too.
Yeah, I
Like,
think the Heat are in this weird. They're like the Lakers came back and were ready to freaking go,
yeah,
and then the Heat just weren't.
they were
Yeah.
all injured. Yeah,
And
they
they're
were
injured.
really
They're in
hurt.
Florida where there's no laws about
Isn't it
COVID.
weird though? Like, this is the first time like a team went to the finals, and I never considered them a contender. They
All
even
year.
pushed it to Game 6, and they still weren't a real contender. And then going into the next season, you almost thought of them as like an outsider for a top 5, 6 team in the league. Like, they're still not. They were
Yeah,
never really contenders. It was just matchups.
it was a
Like,
hot couple months, and it
yeah.
was. I mean, look,
Mhm.
Hero. Everyone's regressing on that team, and they'll be fine. I'm not worried about them, but yes. I mean, I think Sabonis should be 5.
I agree with that.
Butler and Bam should. I think Bam should be above Butler. I think he's played
Mhm.
more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's played a lot more, and the games where Butler wasn't there, Bam was super good.
Yeah,
He had a 40-point night
that was
Yeah.
insane.
against the Nets, I think.
Um, Julius Randle's a fun story. He's been playing. His passing's awesome. The Knicks are a really good defense.
Number one.
Not anymore.
Number one.
Not anymore.
I just keep saying number one though.
You'll say number 1, even though it was just points allowed.
He got
Yeah.
Thibs. You'll be a top
Thibs,
D.
it's cool. Yeah, I like it. I don't hate Julius Randle being there because he's like a 21, 10, and 7 right now. I'll take that.
22, 11, and 6.
Okay. Well,
No
I
big
gave
deal.
him
I'm
more
shooting
assists.
47% from the field, 39.8 from 3.
No,
He's all right.
Actually, that's
It's
crazy.
I always believed. Do you know people said Larry Nance was better than Julius Randle? I remember that, and I was on the other side. It's fine. Gordon Hayward's having a fun season, putting up stats, being the number 1 guy. He could be higher, I guess. I mean, this is kind of
Yeah.
the Hornets are clicking. They're going through it. I think
I'd
they're
rather
like
have
5
Julius
seed.
Randle over Hayward.
I think he deserves a
Mm.
nod. I think this
is the nod group, except for Jeremy Grant.
I think you need to swap Butler and Adebayo. If this was like non-player vote, like fan votes, and it was just based off of like their stats and where their teams were at, I think you swap. You just push Jimmy and Bam at the bottom, and push
Put
everyone up.
Yeah, you put Randall up, Hayward up,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Adebayo,
that's how I see it.
Butler, and then I guess Grant's there. I don't know who
Yeah, I
would.
mean,
You have to make
Grant's
the
just a
argument for
cool.
Grant.
I feel like Grant's a cool nod where it's like we of course know how good he is, and like I've followed his path from from like the Nuggets and everything to OKC or whatever, but like I feel like it's cool that he's getting All-Star votes.
I
Same
think it's weird.
situation of like Christian Wood. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think they
Yeah.
both deserve a nod. Be like, hey, you were an all-star caliber type player this year, but you're not.
I just think
I don't know. You're
I
not
do
the
think it's
guy.
weird. I don't know who else I would put in that spot. I guess there's not a lot, but it's just interesting that he snuck in there.
Yeah, Grant, you mean?
Yeah, Grant.
Yeah.
He's falling out though. Like he has
Yeah, it's like
that
20 a night.
really bad team. I'm putting up great stats. I think I saw like the title on it on the NBA subreddit. It was "What the hell else am I supposed to do?" lineup, and
Yeah.
it was players like it was like, all right, I'm Jeremiah Grant. I'm putting up 23 and 8 on great efficiency every single night. Like what? I'm only one guy. What the hell else am I supposed to do?
Yeah, the
Or
rest of
like,
my
it's
team is
like I don't know what
horrible.
else to do here. It's like the Beal thing. What the hell else am I supposed to do here?
Anything else you guys want to talk about the All Stars? We're gonna have like the updated votes and stuff like that coming soon, and I'm sure some players will go up, some players will come down. I think
I
I
think
think
covered
Lucas
it.
is ready for this next topic.
I kind of just want to like wind him up like a toy.
Oh,
And just
I'm
let
gonna
him
let Lucas go because I had to go to the bathroom. I'm just gonna let Lucas go, so it's perfect.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the Mavs.
Current topic: what happened to Mavs? I didn't even say the Mavs. What happened to Mavs? What's going on with them?
Well, I'm gonna pull up their exact standings right now because I don't want to be fact
I
checked
have
on
I have
anything.
the updated basketball reference for the fans out there watching the NBA Nightcap on YouTube. This team is I'll go through my stats a little bit real quick. They are currently 15th in offensive rating. They were the number one offense last year, just so you guys know. 26th in defense.
Terrible.
They're scoring 111 points a game, which is 17th in the league, and 113 points allowed, which is 21st. That's the stat that the Knicks are number one in, not defensive efficiency. But it's okay. Their lineup, their starting five before Porzingis came back: Richardson, Smith, Doncic, Hardaway, and Powell. Plus minus of minus 14. And they shot a whopping 25% from three. So, before I let Lucas off, I have one more stat. This is without Hardaway and without Powell. But put the lineup with Kleber and Porzingis plus 15 and 43% efficiency from three. The fans will understand what I'm going to get to here shortly. But Lucas, passing it off to you. Go for it, buddy.
Well, they're clearly, hands down, the most overrated team going to the season, right? There's no arguing, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. This team was supposed to be led by the front runner MVP, and they've just fallen off a freaking cliff, right? They didn't have Porzingis, which is their only caveat, right? It's their only thing. They decided to cash in on Seth Curry, thinking that he was a one season wonder, and they went after Josh Richardson, saying he's a better ball handler, he's a better defensive player, he's more versatile. They made that conscious decision, and then everybody else was healthy. I think actually Powell needs like a couple games to get back into shape. But this team is so underperformed, and it's basically, but okay, besides Porzingis being hurt, it's completely on Doncic, right? He came into the season without any conditioning. He's shooting horrible shots. He's wildly inefficient from three. He's incredibly turnover prone. His field goal percentage, I think, is down. I haven't checked, but if I had to assume based off his other percentages, they're probably down. I mean, like, he can put up 27, 7, and 7 every single night. He can pull a Westbrook. But at what point is Luka not just being like the 6'7" inefficient Westbrook that everyone used to complain about? Like, where's all the negativity that Westbrook got during his MVP season afterward? Like the season after or the season before, because Luka isn't even remotely playing as well as MVP Westbrook. But the arguments that people had against Westbrook, where are they for Luka? Because Porzingis doesn't get a crap ton of rebounds. Powell doesn't get a crap ton of rebounds. They're boxing out. They're doing the Brook Lopez thing. They're boxing out for Luka to start the fast break. They're doing what Steven Adams did for Westbrook. They're boxing out so Luka can get the rebound to start the fast break. There is no criticism anywhere for Luka Doncic for being an absolute stat stuffer. And I think the worst thing is he's held the ball more than any player in NBA history. And that's an absolute fact. Since they started recording how long players dribbled the ball, he has held it more than Allen Iverson, Kobe, LeBron, all of these guys. It's Luka who touches the ball endlessly. I just don't get how this entire abysmal season isn't on him. This team is him. It's built around him. Porzingis was out a little bit, right? Like, but he's back.
Half the season,
and
half the
still
season
not doing
so far.
That great. I mean, even Kevin O'Connor on The Ringer. The Ringer has turned on Porzingis, and they're blaming Porzingis for the lack of the Mavs success, and that's crazy to me. It's like Luka can do no wrong at all, and he's the ultimate stat stuffer in NBA history. It's crazy to me. Crazy to me.
Dave,
Now,
would you like to take this? Okay, go ahead.
This hate, how much of it is that the Suns should have picked Luka over Ayton?
None.
For you.
I'm sorry. I see the Dallas Mavericks as the 13th seed, and I see the Suns as the 4th seed. I see us picking a winning player, and I see Dallas picking a guy that likes to put up a bunch of numbers. I feel like Shannon Sharp or Max Kellerman or Skip Bayless up here, but like, my God, for the first time ever, like, the entire table has flipped on this narrative, and there's just like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Luka's so nice. Look at him. He's just so perfect. He's this little angel boy. It's just like he's not. He can't do everything. He can't.
Okay. I'm gonna chime in, cool you down a little bit. I see that. It is Luka's fault. Luka came into the season out of shape.
Tattoo that.
He's frustrated. Like, every time you watch him, and like, it was Zach Lowe. Zach Lowe wrote an article. All you ever see Luka do is bitch. He's bitching, and Mark Cuban came out and told Zach Lowe to fuck off.
Yeah, it was great.
And that's where I'm gonna lead into it. But I 100% agree with you, because now the chemistry's not there. The Josh Richardson trade, which I was like, we will see.
I was against.
I didn't love it, but it's like you're flipping at getting the younger guy. Josh Richardson's obviously not a better Seth Curry, but like the stat before I left, their starting five was shooting 25% from three. This is the best freaking offense in the league last year. Like, they were like, I remember last year everyone's like, oh, this is a playoff team. I'm like, what are you guys looking at? Like, this is a bunch of. I still don't like their roster. Their roster makes me like cringe inside. Like, you're gonna get me excited about Jalen Brunson and Trey Burke who are the same height as me? Like, no, I'm good. Luka is not efficient from three, yet he seems to be taking 7 of them a game, and he does just dance with the ball. I'm like, make some movement, do something. Like, I'm not enjoying watching you play the game. Like, you do have some amazing passes, but like, you're passing to Dorian Finney-Smith, who, like, let me check, right, 33%. All right, Hardaway's a good three-point shooter. Oh, wait, let me pass to Richardson. He's a 30% three-point shooter. Like, none of these guys can hit the freaking three ball. Like, that's the
Yep.
problem. If you're going to run an offense, they are exactly running the Westbrook offense. Box out, let your best player get the ball. He is their best player. That is why shortly we're going to talk about some trades. Because we are going to fix this freaking trash fire.
I need it.
No.
I fixed this team.
We
Yeah.
cannot fix this team.
Yes, we
We
can.
cannot. Do you know why we do not want to fix this team?
Because Luka's trash.
Because the Knicks have their pick.
I
want to see
like it.
the world burn.
Y-
And Porzingis is I think it's I'm not as insane as Lucas is about the Luka,
Truthful.
but I also do
Speaking the
not agree
truth?
with like KOC and stuff where it's like, oh, it's Porzingis' fault. I think Porzingis does look bad, but
Looks horrible.
It doesn't. I think it's a combination of both.
Not great.
I mean, 100% combination of both. And, I mean, this is 100% overreaction. But it is what we're expecting out of Porzingis. Is he's never healthy, and he has this problem with his, I think it's his left leg. He has had 13 injuries to his lower half of his body. You ain't coming back from this. You ain't getting better. You're 7'3". Your legs aren't like, a little scrawny guy. It's just, this team has a flaw, and it's all the players around, and including Luka right now. Luka's not good right now. He's putting up this stat line, but this isn't. You watch the games, and they're not playing well. They get off to a 20-6 start, and they're down by 14, and you're like, where's this team? I actually looked at it. They're not in top. What is it? They're in the second quarter is their best scoring quarter, but other than that, they're below 15 in every. They're an average team. They're
They
average.
can't stop a single person. Like, they can't play any defense even remotely. There's no defense involved at all. And it's weird because even though they swapped Curry for supposed defensive specialist Josh Richardson, they got significantly worse because they're just leaving Richardson open. If you're going to shoot 28, 29% from three, every single team in the league is going to let you shoot that because you're wasting possessions. You're just burning them.
It is the huge thing where you're seeing Luka pass the ball to Dorian Finney-Smith, and Finney's taking a wide open three and clanking it.
What was it? It's some stat that at least 4 players on the Mavs last year had career years. It was their best statistical year ever. And I think that's what you're going to see because Luka was deemed the next Larry Bird. 20 years old, he's Larry Bird. It's like, you know what? No, he's not 20 years old, Larry Bird. You had every single player around him hit their peak at the exact same time last year. And then you got him to play the Clippers, and he looked great, but he only won 2 games.
I'll push back on that. I'm going to push back on that. I 100% agree, and I'm retroactively going back. The Seth Curry trade was the worst thing they could have done. Because, but they don't. Who is the leader on this team? Because obviously it's not this 21-year-old. It's the same thing that we have talked about before on the podcast. You need a leader. You need a veteran status. Who is your veteran on this team right now? Boban?
You know what it is? It's James Johnson.
He's their enforcer. He's definitely not there.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, who are you going to have, though? Tim Hardaway is, 28, 29? He's got to be their, I can go get you a bucket guy. Porzingis has barely played if you actually think of his entire career, he really hasn't played meaningful basketball.
No.
At all. He's not healthy enough.
I'm going to side note this into a team that Lucas is very fond of. The Suns. They got a 35-year-old Chris Paul. And look what happened. And that's why we're going to trade some people.
We are.
You guys feeling some trades?
Or not.
We're trading
him bad. Keeping them bad.
The thing is, though, they're 2 wins. They're 2 wins away from being the 8th seed. So you're screwed no matter what for a while.
No.
The first trade.
I think you're gonna love this.
The first trade. Kristaps Porzingis is going to Indiana Pacers.
Yep.
We're flipping Doug McDermott and Miles Turner.
Yep.
Oh my!
Now,
I wanted to hate
Yeah.
it as soon as you said Porzingis to the Pacers. I'm like, why would the Pacers
Yep.
ever do that? The Pacers don't do this kind of thing. They're always consistently good, but that makes a lot
You
of
love
sense.
it.
you
You
love it.
kind of love it. I think Nick and I were on Discord
Yeah.
a couple days ago, and we went. You were doing something with the mail, and we had to
We were
devise
working
some
on the
sort of plan.
podcast. Yeah.
I was clearly working up a storm, and
I wasn't. I'm going back to
I
work Friday.
think this is the only place that makes the best sense for both teams. Like the Pacers have a logjam at that position, right? Because like Sabonis thrives at the five, Turner thrives at the five, but they are completely polar opposites. You put Porzingis there, he's still a unicorn, right? He's 7'3", 7'4", but he's a power forward. He's not a center.
You
You
take
have Sabonis at the five, which is a weird combo. Because I'd argue that Porzingis is probably in a vacuum better on defense than Sabonis, but Sabonis is better at the five. So you have Sabonis at the five, Porzingis at the four, then you have T.J. Warren at the three, and then you have Levert at the two, and then Brogdon at the one. Like
I
this
mean,
team is just like it's a sick 2K team. Like
Porzingis is definitely slowing on the defensive end right now. Like you can see it. Like yeah, he's probably
yeah,
going to get it back, but this alleviates the pressure of being the centerpiece of the Dallas Mavericks defense, of being, the rim protector, and you switch it into Miles Turner. I pushed back on this trade right away. And I was like, why? I did. You were there
later, yeah.
at first because I was like, why would the Pacers do this? But then, they're foreign boys. They love each other. You know what I mean? I like this trade. I think this could be good for both teams. And you do help the Mavericks with cap. The only reason the Pacers might not like it is they take a lot more cap on with Porzingis
And the
for a longer
Indiana
term.
Pacers are not a fan of money.
Yeah, but how else are they going to be successful? Like, they're not going to get a free agent to come there unless they ridiculously overpay them. Like, Brogdon was this middling all star guy that they had to ridiculously overpay to get there.
Right.
Like, otherwise, outside of a unique niche situation like that, you have to trade for a dude. And in a bad situation, I think Porzingis might be the guy. Um, for the Mavs, I freaking love it. It's way more risky on the Mavs side. I feel like
Oh yeah.
almost like
Uh, is it
because
though?
you're
I
Because
don't
like
think so. I think
Miles
it's less
Turner is
risky.
Miles Turner's going to probably win Defensive Player of the Year, or
I
if
don't
and
think
if he
so.
doesn't, he's going to be number 2 or 3.
right.
Like so you're trading out um potential offense in Porzingis
Right.
for sturdy, stable, amazing defense in Miles Turner.
Mhm.
And then also you throw in Doug there, who's just a sharpshooter, where it's not Luka passing to people who are 31, 32% from 3-point line. You're passing to someone who's like, what was he, 38? I
He's,
think.
he's definitely up
I mean,
there.
even Turner's got a decent three ball, nothing amazing. But I'm not even thinking
No.
about on the floor. Porzingis is locked in 4 years, 29 a year.
You have an potential all star for that long. I
But
don't think they say no to
Turner is
that.
only 17 and a half for 3 years. You're protecting yourself from the Porzingis problem. It elevates the ceiling of the Pacers, but it also brings their floor lower. Like you're
I
putting that
think
potential there.
I think you have to roll the dice if you're Indiana. Like I don't know how much time you're going to have with this core of really quality players. Like these are the kind of moves that teams like the Pacers have to make. Like the Pacers, if they kept their squad and they could sign them, if they had the option to sign every single player for the next 5 years, like right now, have them until 2026, they would still be a 5 or 6 team seed team, and they would never get better. They don't have that elevation. They need to be able to roll the dice and get a guy that can elevate them. And then there is a percentage now. If you roll the dice with Porzingis, they may end up being the 8th seed instead of the 4th seed. But like you need to actually take that risk to get a guy that can put you over the top. I'm not a full believer in Porzingis, but I know other people are, and like he could be that dude.
He can be like a 27-10 guy
If you have a
with 2
20, if
blocks.
even if they had a 20-10 dude next to Sabonis doing what he's doing, I mean Turner's not that like.
God,
What is Turner doing like 12-10 or something like that with
with
3
like
blocks?
3
Like
blocks, yeah.
you're adding 10 more points a game. You're stretching the floor out because people actually have to respect Porzingis's 3. They're not really respecting Turner's 3 attempts a game or whatever.
Even though
Like
he hit a nasty one the other night. I looked up and I was just like, oh, he's pulling up.
I will say though, the big advantage to this for the Mavs isn't just getting a defensive player of the year potentially, but you clear up enough space to sign a guy for 25 million next year.
Well, I think
And
that was what I was leading to with the Porzingis thing is the cap alone is you're scared this guy's gonna play. Like he's barely playing. You're alone. This is a great move because there is. I mean, you were talking about it before the podcast. The players in the next year or even 2 years, if you just want to get some guys on a 1-year deal. I mean, Luka's 21. Like he's gonna have some inefficiency. He's gonna step up soon and like get to his point. But like, I think Turner fits more in the timetable than Porzingis does. I know they're only like a year or 2 apart, but
Yeah, but Porzingis' legs are like 40 years old.
yeah, he's just this kind of freak of nature who's 7'3", and he's just like kind of got a weird jumper. But I mean, I like it. It's different. I think the Mavs need to shake it up. I don't know if it's like we're overreacting, but I just kind of want it to happen because I don't know if I really enjoy the fit of Porzingis and Luka. It was a cool idea, but I don't want the Knicks to win this trade.
side note, just got the notification out of Dallas Twitter. The Dallas Mavericks have seized all playing of the national anthem for basketball games. I
What?
didn't realize that was a thing. I didn't realize that was a topic of debate. But the Dallas Mavericks will not be playing the national anthem before basketball games.
Okay.
Thanks for that riveting update. I thought someone got traded.
I also thought someone got
I was
traded.
like, this just in. Porzingis got traded.
Dallas, and that was the first thing that's trending.
But
I don't know. I think DeMar, honestly, that kind of segued into my free agency ploy. Was
they're
you
trying to get
get
back.
Turner and then use the 25 million next year and get DeMar.
Which I don't even know if you'd have to use all that for DeMar.
You probably wouldn't. Honestly, you paid 80 for 4, so you get 20 mil a year for DeMar until he's 35.
And he's gotten a lot better passing. The problem is he shrinks the floor a little bit. He's not a reliable 3-shooter, but he's that mid-range. You got to respect it. It's working on the Spurs right now.
All right, I have a question for the both of you. Would you rather play the timeline game where you say, we're going to try to sign young players to develop through Doncic's timeline? Or would you rather go, I'm going to go all out every single year with Doncic to win as much as I can?
This is the latter.
See, but then you have an Anthony Davis situation in your hand though, where if you make the wrong choice to go all in, then you have a shit team around you.
Well, what did they do for Anthony Davis though? Realistically, for like 5 years they didn't do anything.
Who did they pay all that money to? Just small forward.
Tyreek Evans.
He was only like 11 a year. Like they were just adding random pieces. They weren't building a team that was like.
They went all out with Boogie, but actually they got Boogie super cheap. They only got
Boogie was cheap.
Field.
They didn't do anything. They never did anything for AD. That was like every time you got a team.
Ashik. When the cap was super small, they had to pay Ashik. Omir Ashik, that guy that got.
Yeah, they like screwed themselves. They did that trade, and I mean, I think you go for it. Like, why? I mean, Tim Duncan is an asterisk. Like, holy crap! They tanked. They got Tim Duncan. Now they have this awesome team. They win year 2. We saw Luka dominate like in the playoffs against the Clippers. Granted, the Clippers were fraudulent, but they had a roster around them, and he was playing extremely well against one of the best teams in the league. And I just think you kind of cut the crap with this Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith, and let's get some players around this guy. Like, I mean, would you hate Robert Covington? I know he's kind of slipped off, but like a guy like Robert Covington next to him, or like, I mean, I had a trade that we can maybe talk about if we want to talk about. I was saying it's kind of you need to put some kind of stronger guards next to him, and I wanted to get Eric Bledsoe and Buddy Hield.
Do you remember this?
And you would trade out Porzingis to the Kings, and you trade Hardaway to the Pelicans. And what would happen was now you're locked in on Bledsoe, who's going to guard the other team's best guard, and he's actually shooting the ball pretty well from three this year. And then you have a sharpshooter in Buddy Hield, who's going to love the fact that he gets to start. He's a little bit more of an overpay than Hardaway, but he's locked in. And you would then start playing Doncic at the 4, and you'd have like Kleber and Powell would be your big, and then kind of fill in the 3. But you're giving yourself more of that kind of ball movement, and I think that's what they need. They need more of a flow, because right now they're literally passing to Kleber or passing to like they're too big almost. And I know that like you're gonna run into the Lakers in the West, or the Nuggets with Jokic, but like Kleber and Powell are big enough, and AD's kind of, honestly, I'm a Lakers fan. He doesn't get low. He takes mid-range jumpers all day. It's not like he's Shaq. Jokic scares me more. Yeah, Jokic scares me more than AD. But it was kind of like the polar opposite. Lucas is like, let me get a good big man, defensive player of the year candidate. I was like, let me get some guards who are like serviceable enough that I'm scared of Eric Bledsoe in the playoffs, but I have Luka Doncic to hold the ball instead of Giannis. Like, it'd be that kind of polar opposite.
I guess my only pushback with those trade ideas
that you love Tim Hardaway.
I think Tim Hardaway and Buddy Hield would probably be a wash, but
I agree.
I don't know who you put at the 5 then, because like right now, even though it's a flawed plan, the Mavs are planning on Porzingis being the defensive big.
Right.
And then if you're trading Porzingis for Buddy Hield, first it's like a weird trade, because then you're gonna pair Marvin Bagley and Porzingis together. But now, like, what did the Mavs do at the 5? Like,
Kleber
I
or
don't
Powell.
think Kleber and Powell. I don't love it. I don't think either of them are very good on defense.
But
I agree with that.
Your argument is against a team that is the 4th worst defensive team in the league right now with Porzingis. So
that would be the thing. So you're just going to be like, all right, we're already bad on.
Yeah. What are we?
Screw all D, and we're just going to go all offense.
I mean, that's what they did last year.
That would be the philosophy. I mean, if it works, I can't be upset with it. I mean, I guess it's better than the Rockets' plan of playing PJ Tucker at the 5.
Wait.
Powell at the 5.
I mean, it's.
I like having Miles Turner. Like, I like the potential of a top 3 defensive center.
I mean,
I guess.
I think I did tweak your trade, and I ended up getting Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. And I did it where I was like, I really like this trade, but I didn't want to bring it up and like steal it. So I mean,
I also tweaked it, and I got Kevin Durant.
I mean, no, but you would be like, it would be the Kings being like, F Buddy Hield, we're sick of this guy. His attitude's horrible. Let's get Hardaway. He's a wash, and now we have Haliburton. And we have.
I'm amazed they haven't sent Hield away to the Netherlands somewhere. Like
the Netherlands. Did you say the Netherlands or
I can't say the Netherlands.
He's going to Rotterdam. Man, we'll put him out there somewhere. Amsterdam, maybe, if he's lucky.
So what do you think, Dave? What would be your big move to fix this team?
And you can't think as a Knicks fan to be like, no, they'll just suck, because I want the 8th pick in the draft again.
Also,
who you guys are gonna pick?
Can't trade for Miles Turner. There we go.
Or I can't trade for Miles Turner.
No, you can't.
Or Buddy Hield.
Or Buddy Hield, apparently. You already called it. You have to think of something different.
Dibs.
I guess if there's a trade that involves both of them, but there has to be like,
Or okay, maybe.
Go ahead. I almost don't like not a trade, but like a redo, kind of
Okay.
like because I was very much in on the Josh Richardson for Seth Curry because I'm like Richardson is a better defender. They don't need as much offense. Wow, was I wrong? Seth Curry is like the most important player known to mankind, I guess.
Hey,
Because if he's not on the 76ers look like trash. And then without Seth Curry on the Mavs kind of look like trash.
I mean,
So I don't even know if it's more of a like trade to fix or like a trade just to redo.
as you guys know, founder and supporting member of the Seth Curry Island. I freaking love it. I mean, I don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong with Jay Rich. Maybe he's just not an NBA player. I agree with
Yeah.
you.
Did he have a 1 year peak in
Yeah,
Miami?
no, I think he
He
just
might
had
have.
this asterisk year, and maybe next year full season. But I mean, so Dave, do you think like they have an offense problem? I know you're a defensive minded guy, but like you must not love this roster. I just couldn't imagine. You look at this
No.
roster and you're like Dory Finney-Smith. Ooh,
Oh,
if he was on my team right now, I would be happy.
Um their defense is definitely a problem because it is super trash. But even though how much I hate to say this, the NBA now is if you don't have a super good offense, it doesn't matter how good you are on defense. So just looking at their team, I mean, God, it's just not pretty. I mean, they have players like Jalen Brunson who have taken a step back. You have Willie Cauley Stein as your backup center. Like he was almost out of the league, and now you're asking him to be your backup center and stuff.
He started
Quick note,
he
isn't it
started 10
weird?
games.
Yeah.
Is it weird to
And
me that like I look at this roster this year and I think like last year I looked at the roster and I said, "Oh no, I don't like this team." And then looking at the roster going into this year, after what they did last year, I thought this team is good. Like I honestly thought going into the season, like there's no reason they should be even remotely this bad. Like I thought they improved
You know,
significantly.
I think what it is last year I was like, this team, I agree, this team is horrible. Like, what is everyone seeing? And then there's offense churn. I saw this roster this year and I go, this team is a lot worse. Because,
well, they're asking role players to do a lot more than they should.
well, I looked at it in the like the aspect of MVP. And people were like, oh yeah, Doncic, easiest pick. Who else on this team is gonna help this team be a top 4 seed? You knew
Yeah,
Porzingis wasn't gonna be back. I'm just
yeah.
so
It's
you're
hard. Like
yeah.
what they're a third of the way through the season right now. They've played 25 games. There's only
24
72,
games, yeah.
so we're over the third mark,
Yeah.
and they're below 500. I think like I know like small sample size is like a real thing. I'll fight for small sample sizes forever, but like at some point it may be a small sample size, but it's also really significant because you don't have enough time to make it up. It's not like baseball where you're going to have 130 games. You're
Yeah.
only going to have you only have like 48 games or whatever to make up what you lost. So, how much can the Mavs actually overcome in these next, I guess less than 2/3 of the remaining season? I really don't know. It's not like they're going to rip off a 15-game winning streak. I just don't see it.
Or are they? Because their schedule is like
Is it? It might
super
be
easy.
super easy.
I mean, that is the beauty of us not knowing the second half of the year. Is all of a
These guys are
sudden,
gonna
hey,
get spoon fed.
let's put 2 games straight against the Grizzlies. Like, oh, 2-0.
Mm.
Let's
Yep.
throw a couple
Let's throw in
games against the
the
Timberwolves.
Wizard, Timberwolves, and
4-0. Yeah, Wizards. Oh, the Magic. You guys haven't played that. No, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but yeah, it's gonna get fishy. It's gonna get fishy. I'm not gonna lie. Do you guys have anything else you want to complain about the Mavs with?
I think I've exhausted it. I think if I had to talk any more about them, it'd be about 5 pod series about everything.
And we're
That would take
cruising
a
at an
oh,
hour
while.
and a half right now, so
Yeah.
All I have to say is just keep on sucking.
Get that Knicks
The
pick.
Knicks need at least 2 lottery picks because we're gonna screw one of them up. So hopefully we have a second to be good on.
Who did that last time? Was the Clippers? They had
Yeah.
back-to-back picks, and they picked some random Jerome
Jerome
Mm.
Robinson.
Robin, yep. But
Jerome
then their
Robinson.
second pick though was
And
SGA, so
Shea.
it's like,
Yeah.
hey, see,
That's what I said.
50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could
I
have
mean,
had SGA and Porter.
yeah, no,
Oh my
these, you know
god.
what it is? They overthink it.
And Kawhi.
Yeah,
Would
they,
you rather have Porter and SGA or Paul George?
Paul George.
Yeah, I probably would.
Paul George. I'm a little lower on,
It'd be nice though. It'd be fun.
I mean,
But
you know, you have like Kevin Knox with the 8th pick, or you can have Frank Ntilikina with like the 6th pick. I mean, you guys just,
Hey, put some respect on Frankie Smokes.
I don't think he plays anymore. I don't think he's in America.
It's not good. He might be in France.
Yeah, I don't, yeah. You know, gotta say, the Knicks did something, didn't they? Oh, they did. They made a trade. The Dave was all excited that Thibodeau was gonna play his young rookies and young players to aspire to greater. No, we're done with that. Derrick Rose is back, baby. Back in New York. Dennis Smith
It's-
Jr. and the Charlotte second round in 2021.
So the more I've thought about this, at first I was like, man, like Derrick, I don't know how much more Derrick Rose has in the tank. And then I talked myself into like, no, like we're getting veteran players, like this is gonna be good for the team. And now I've completely switched back to, oh God, my worst fear is happening. When Thibs was hired, I was very much like, oh, I do not want him. He's horrible for player development. Like he plays his guys and his guys only. And then the season started and I looked like an idiot. Like he was playing RJ Barrett. He even gave Kevin Knox minutes until Kevin Knox showed that Kevin Knox is Kevin Knox.
Not good
And
for the fans
yeah,
out
not
there.
good. And Emmanuel quickly was playing and being like this. Everyone was saying he's steal the draft, going to be like top 3 for rookie of the year. And then they trade for Derrick Rose.
Can I chime in on that Emmanuel
Cliffhanger.
quickly? If
Yeah, don't be a
anyone
hater.
thought Emmanuel quickly was gonna be top 3 in rookie of the year, unsubscribe to watching basketball.
Subscribe.
I have to say though, when we were doing the rookie of the year, I said that Emmanuel quickly. I was surprised that Emmanuel quickly was one of the top odds for rookie of the year. I didn't say that he was going to win or anything like that because that would be just
I'm not
like
accusing you.
insane. But anyway, and so I'm like, all right, like this is our team. It's Manuel quickly, ain't no stopping, Obi Toppin, RJ, Mitchell Robinson. Let's get some quality vets to come off the bench. Austin Rivers, Alex Burks. All right, D Rose come too. And now in the back of my head, it's just creeping in that it's going to be Derrick Rose playing 35 minutes a game. Julius Randle playing 38 minutes a game, which I love Julius Randle, but at the same time though, I do want Obi Toppin to get more experience and grow. And it's going to be just Alec Burks, Austin Rivers, and it's going to be like, yeah, RJ, here you go. You have 15 minutes. Oh, the second unit. All right.
So,
That's my biggest fear.
I've been seeing around the Twitter sphere, the internet sphere a lot recently. Do NBA minutes matter for rookies? Or is it more the training staff that make the rookies better? Is it the culture of the team? Like, if you throw a rookie who has no idea what they're doing 30 minutes a game, are they going to be better or are they just going to get tortured playing? Whereas if you work them through the kind of training staff, practice, all this stuff, just being on an NBA team, will that make, like, you know, there's nothing to prove either side because every player is unique and their will and drive to play the game is complete. You look at Wiggins, he got $150 million and he's like, I don't really like basketball. Like, it's just, I've always been good at it. So there's not like a solid thing, but like, I just looked at, it was funny that you said the stats, Dave, because I looked at the Knicks tonight. Julius Randle played 37 minutes. Obi Toppin played 11 minutes. Emilio quickly played 21 minutes, shooting 2 for 9. Well, Derrick Rose only played 20, but he was 5 for 9 from the field. So,
I mean, I think I'm one of the Knicks fan where I'm like, I'm cool with not being good this year again. Like, I want one more tank year, and
but
then after that, I'm cool with then trying to go and get veterans and grow around these young players and stuff. It just, I have very big fears of the D Rose coming back brings back PTSD of we are a super team.
so I guess my only argument with so you want to be bad. You guys are already too good at the point where you're like too high in the standings. I mean, you have the Mavs pick, who they could either be a 14 seed or a 4 seed. Probably not 4, 6 seed. I mean, you have the veterans. I mean, Julius Randle's now like 26, 27 now. You have Derrick Rose. You have these vets. You have RJ Barrett, who's a very good young talent. You have Obi Toppin and Manley quickly. Like, I mean, unless there was a player in this draft who you're like, I want. What's the difference of getting 12 through 16? I mean, at that point, I mean, I think it is like statistically better to be in that range and get a guy who's like 24, 23 who can just hop in and start playing 16 minutes a game than a project who you're like, I mean, RJ Barrett's your project. Like,
Yeah, but RJ Barrett though is already like looking as an amazing player, and it's his second year.
So that's
Like,
what I mean. Why? So you want?
but I feel like I feel like the players that you know are amazing aren't projects. It's the players like Dragon Bender and like it's players like that that are projects where it's like, well, he has all this potential. I know he hasn't shown it yet. Like players that are good from the jump, I think.
What about
And it's
Brendan
not like,
Ingram?
well, like so Kawhi is an example of that too, though, where he became really good. But I think the majority of it is you know what you have pretty quickly in the NBA. You have the outliers, you have the Jimmy Butlers, the Kawhi, the Ingrams, where it's they grow into it. But like Tatum was super good coming out. Jaylen Brown was really good coming out. I'm trying to think of other
I
like
guess I guess my argument is you want to get into this kind of 5 to 8 range. 4 to 8 range maybe. I just don't think there's really the gap there. If anything, you get 2 picks like 12 to 14, you can trade up. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of teams who are like, yeah, we don't really like a guy in this draft right now. I
um
think you might as well go for it and be a 16th pick and have a year where it's like, I don't like why I don't know. I guess why not? If you're gonna take it one
my
year.
own my argument for that though is look at Donovan Mitchell. What would the Jazz be if they didn't hit on Donovan Mitchell? And I know like he was like he dropped and everything like that, but that's the kind of like player where you can get it if you are in the lottery. Because like so
Right.
if Donovan Mitchell didn't go to the Jazz, what would the Jazz wouldn't have traded for Mike Conley? The Jazz wouldn't have went all in with Boyan. Like getting those players that you hit on changes your whole future. Because like so the and like the Suns example too, like say if they missed on Devin Booker and they got Aiton. Okay, but so what you have Aiton and then you have a bunch of other young players. You're not going to trade for Chris Paul. You're not going to go like sign Galloway, sign all these veterans to go around. Instead, you like you don't you need your young core and you need it pretty much because if so say if the Knicks go and they're bad this year. I don't know the players yet for college because I don't pay attention until like
Fair.
midway through March Madness and then I start
Yeah.
looking at prospects or whatever. But like so say if so you have RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson as your two young promising players. I like Obi Toppin because it's so much fun just screaming "Ain't no stopping" Obi Toppin, but I don't know how much he is valuable. So if they hit on a player that's similar to Donovan Mitchell or something, then you have RJ Barrett, hypothetical player, Mitchell Robinson, then you can just do whatever around the team and you jump into what the Jazz are now.
Okay. So I guess my thing is, I think you guys are already right there. Like you're a top defense. You need a little bit to trigger that offense, but it's almost like you're kind of like, I want to be worse to hopefully get to where I am right now. Like I don't think like I don't know the players in this draft, but like you're not going to be a top 4 pick, no matter like unless is the Mavs pick protected. I'm trying to think.
No.
It might be top 3.
Yeah, it's top 3
yeah,
protected. But
So
I know
so
you say that though and stuff, but like
no, but
the
you're
Pelicans weren't supposed to get Zion.
yeah. So but that's the thing. You don't. Then you're at the point right now. If you hover where you are, you could have the Cleveland. You could have the New Orleans lottery. Anyways, there's no point to be worse with a good team. This team needs to start winning. You need RJ Barrett to see what it's like to win. You need these guys to step forward. You're starting to get the players. It was what the Lakers did, where they like, we're number 2 pick, number 2 pick, number 2 pick. You're just churning these picks, but the team just sucks, and these guys aren't learning to get better. Like the Suns had the same problem. Like I think it's time to go. Like let's go. Maybe even cash in your picks for a guy like Zach LaVine, and like, hey, like we could step into the 6th seed this year, and have maybe even upset like a Brooklyn, because I don't. If Brooklyn misses out on some games, like I don't think they're unstoppable.
But the only thing I have to say about that though, like saying for the Suns example, where it's like you can't really use the Lakers example because LeBron wanted to go there, and that changes everything for a
Right.
team when. But like so for the Suns example, they hit on Ayton, they hit on Bridges, and stuff. I like if they didn't hit on those players, they would still be in the rotation. So you have to hit
Well,
on your draft players in
they,
order to be good. And then the teams that like can't turn the wheel, I guess, to be actual good teams from going to bad teams are like the T Wolves and teams like that where it's like they just constantly miss.
but I mean, I guess I'll let Lucas in here. I mean, Chris Paul wanted to go to the Suns. Chris Paul is taking the Suns to the level that Ricky Rubio is there. They went for Ricky Rubio. Like they
Yeah,
had
but
their
the reason why Chris Paul though wanted to go to the Suns though is because they have Booker, they have Ayton, they have Mikal Bridges, they have a good team, and that attracts better players. If you have a crap team, nobody's gonna come. And you need good players to have a good team.
but I guess it's just your count. I guess it's like a counter argument because your team is now like is like winning right now, and then you don't like you want to win. If you're winning, then people are gonna be like, oh crap, we can win there. Like no one's wanted to go to New York other than Carmelo and Amari, and then Amari fell off.
I think a Knicks playoff appearance
I think
would
that's
probably
huge.
change the perspective. But I think that Julius Randle, this is probably the hottest take I'll have of the day, other than Luka Doncic being trash,
Mm-hmm.
is I think Thibs can turn Julius Randle into a prototype Jimmy Butler. Like I don't see how that's not a realistic timeline
Or even
where
like a
Thibs
Draymond.
goes every single game I go into the locker room, I've got 8 dudes. That's it. I don't trust anybody else than 8 dudes. And I want these 8 guys, 8, 9 guys to just play as hard as they can, as many minutes as possible. And right now, this entire season, it feels like Randall is the guy that is like, I will get the steals, I'll get the assists, I'll
He's
get the
like as
rebounds,
Jimmy
I'll
as
get
Derrick
points,
Rose.
I will do literally anything you ask me to do. And I almost feel like the Knicks have set themselves up for such great success where they have Barrett, who I really think will be an incredible player when he hits his prime. If they keep Julius Randle and he converts more into the Jimmy Butler role, he could stay for so long. Um, I think really the next piece is saying, do we cash in the assets we have? Like when is the point where we do like do we go what you're saying, Dave? Do we say we have 2 picks in this upcoming draft? Do we cash in now before the time comes in and we think like, hey, right now it's the 9th pick. Do we think we're going to be the 15th, 16th pick? Should we cash in on that pick now or should we wait? Um, I think you have to target guys like Zach LaVine. Like, I think you could go and say, right now, I want to cash in my picks and say, Zach LaVine is worth a projected 17th pick, 18th pick. If we get Zach LaVine, it may even be like a 19th, 20th pick, and then the Mavs pick for a guy who's not even who's 27 point per game scorer, and then we could keep him after his contract's over in 2 years, year and a half, for another
Yeah.
4 years.
And
Like,
he's only
I would
25.
love a team of Jimmy Butler, like a power forward Jimmy Butler, and then a dude that can drop like 28 a night. And then you have Barrett, who I actually don't know what he can, like. I don't know what his prime even looks like. Like, I don't know a comp to a dude
Paul
that's a.
George.
I don't know if he's Paul. Like,
Oh
he
no,
he
come on
plays
now.
point,
He's either
right?
30 or
Like,
Yeah.
13.
he's like a 6'6" point guard who kind of looks awkward out there at the point, but makes it work. I
Mhm.
don't know if there's a dude like that out there. Like, it
He's a
may be
he's almost a Ben Simmons who can shoot. He's almost like a
he's
Ben Simmons who's a little
Ben
bit
Simmons that
shorter
can shoot.
that
Yeah,
can
I like
shoot.
that. Is it like Tyreek Evans if he stayed at the point guard? Like, it
I
kind
like
of
that
just
too.
feels like
Okay, yeah.
he's an ultra big point guard that works. I kind of love this team playing 35 minutes a night with their best players because I think a top 4 team needs that coach. Like, I think Thibs has always been a terrific coach and he always has successful teams. But
I
like,
I just love that we're trying to sell Dave on his own team. Like, this is
I
like
I'm
a full 360. We're like, we're so in on your team more than you are. We're like, dude, I love your team. I love the roster. Just the next step.
because
I've
like
just
I
been
didn't ever have this with like Sun situation. Like, even last year, like we didn't have like a cap opportunity. We had to ship guys I loved. Like, I loved Ubre and I loved Rubio to get CP3, and I wanted to cringe and die the whole time. I think the Knicks are primed to be like, any conversation you have with a free agent or a guy that you want to bring in, Thibs is going to walk in and say, like, I have Randall, I have Barrett, I have Mitchell, and like, these dudes will play 38 minutes. You're going to play 38 minutes, and we're going to win every single night. Like, there's no excuse. We're not going to play any fun little rookies. We're not going to play some quirky G League guys. You're going to play every night because we're going to win every night. And I love that like attitude. And I think Julius Randle, even with the All Star voting right now, he's eighth, yeah,
That's
in
kind of
front
nutty.
court.
he's
Like,
never been anything like that.
and
Oh,
realistically, he should be arguing for top 5. Honestly,
Mhm.
if you bump out Butler and Adebayo, you have a strong argument for top 5. You could argue it.
So
I
you
love
want to
Julius
hear?
Randle. Yeah,
I've I've been hurt so many times before. The negative Knicks mind. This is the world
the
I
grave.
imagine. Is we trade away the our picks to go all in with this Julius Randle, RJ Barrett core. We trade the wrong person. Then we pay way too much for Julius Randle. Julius Randle falls off a cliff, and we are back in 6 years. We go from like we have like a 4 year stretch of being like the eighth seed or the seventh seed where we get knocked out in the first round every year, and then we go back 6 years from now and we still suck. We go back to full tank mode. That is the mind of
I just don't
the
see it. I don't
negative
see it
Nick.
I
this
mean,
time.
I guess this is the problem. And I think we all have experienced tanking. At a certain point, tanking has to end, and we're just terrified that we're missing out on something. But guess what? The lottery is an absolute crapshoot. I mean, we have Dragon Bender, we have Kevin Knox, we have Lonzo Ball. I mean, you don't really
Nicotine.
you Frank. You have, I mean, Jokic is coming out of the second round, and he is now a top 2 MVP candidate. You don't know, like, it's getting to the point where Lucas's team started taking kind of older players who are ready to go, and not this. The potential is dying. The like potential players are like, I don't want this project. It's not
I
working
think
out
that's a
for me.
wave. That's a wave
And
that's happening right now.
the first round draft picks, I don't care for them because I don't want to work on this kid for 6 years. I want to go pay someone $8 million and they're going to play for me for 2 years, and then in 2 years I don't have to think about them again. It's if the Mavericks suck and they're like a 5th pick, but then your pick is like 17th. Shouldn't it average out in some point that you're one of those is going to be a decent player? And how many players do you really need right now? I mean, you like Mitchell, you like Julius Randle, Obi Toppin could be fun. I mean, quickly he's like a Lou Williams, RJ Barrett. He's nice. You got D Rose.
Austin Rivers. You can find
You-
Austin Rivers. You can find Alec Burks.
You can trade.
know.
You can trade Austin Rivers to a contender right now and get another pick. Like there's, I like your team. I don't know why
It's just. It's.
Dave's
I've
setting
just
us up.
been hurt
This is a trick. He's trying to get us to talk up the Knicks so much. He's like, oh no, I don't like them that much. Oh god.
I just been hurt so many times.
Yeah.
I remember back to Knicks tape and how happy I was. And then the following year, we traded for that stupid Italian bastard 2 picks. I cannot remember his name right now because I've tried to burn. Huh?
Bargnani, Andre
Yeah,
Bargnani.
Bargnani.
And then Knicks tape was completely destroyed, and we were back to crap.
Well, I mean, that's just look at your front office is different now. It's a new future.
You gotta the negative Knicks mind has to be like it's like a cancer in the brain. It's not gonna go away easy.
I mean, I think you guys either hold this core, take your picks kind of in the mid range. I mean, you're getting the Mavs pick as long as they don't completely suck. But you got the luck of the Eastern Conference being there for you. You got the Wizards. You got the couple other teams. You got the Timberwolves. You know, we're gonna get the Thunder to fall off. But holy crap, we're at like 2 hours, guys.
That was our longest pod.
This is a killer pod. Anything else we want to talk about right now?
We covered everything. My emotional rants are over.
I mean, yeah, it's been
I'm
good.
just a sad boy being a Knicks fan.
Good. You're gonna be fine.
You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Well, I just want to thank you all for chiming into this a little bit longer podcast than normal, but it's been a couple days. You know, been about 10 days, so we got to catch up on the NBA. Got to complain. Got to get all the frustrations out. Have a couple drinks. It's the NBA Nightcap. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment on whatever you want to say on this YouTube video. If you're not following our YouTube channel, NBA Nightcap. If you're listening on a podcast, our Twitter is going to be Nightcap NBA. Instagram, NBA Nightcap. We're getting more in the flow of things. I'm learning how to reuse social media so I can kind of get more content out there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your night, and let's keep enjoying this NBA season.